Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the What You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the B Sharps of the What You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2012 anime Kids on the Slope. Shall we jam? First up, we have Kat. Kat, do you like jazz?
I do like jazz.
How much do you love jazz?
Jazz is one of my favorite grooves to play on the drums. It's just really hard to get into when you first start. So
I can see that.
I really enjoy like when I'm actually able to play it, and now I'm trying to like get back into it since I've stopped playing drums since for about 2 years. So
Gotcha. So you are the Centauro of our Discord. So thank you, Kat.
absolutely.
Next up, a man that we know that likes jazz. We got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Yeah, I do enjoy jazz quite a bit, actually. So, there you go.
I think you have to by law for being from Louisiana.
It's true. If you don't, they make you, like, eel on rice. Not
Yeah.
very fun.
You have to like jazz and Little Wayne. Those are the rules.
And Frank Ocean.
And Frank Ocean. NBA Youngboy, 50-50.
Yeah.
But you know what they
Depends
don't
on
like?
what age you are.
30 Seconds to Mars. Boo.
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 Hozier City. Boo.
Boo. Our first and only moderator of the night, the 2017 Jazz Hater of the Year. We got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
You know, it's going well. I'm sad I only have one ring, but we're going to try to get another one tonight.
This is a good start.
Yeah.
You
It's,
are the Cowboys of our Discord.
They got 2 rings recently, then. Like
Define recent.
93, 94?
They haven't gotten a ring since I've been alive.
My lifetime.
Bro.
They have, in your lifetime, they have won 3 Super Bowls, Pete. But that is neither here nor there. What is here is that we are talking about Kids on the Slope, the 2012 MAPPA and some other studio production. So, I guess this is the time where we do our first impressions. I'm used to going first here, but alas, I am our only moderator. So, Kat, you have the enviable position of speaking first.
Yeah, so my first impressions of this show were that. So, first of all, pacing was a little bit off in the first few episodes, but my general first impressions were this is how a show stumbles when it first gets started and then ends strong. For me, like the first few episodes were fairly good, but they weren't like groundbreaking to me. But
Yeah. So what you thought of it, and would you recommend it?
yeah, so I thought it was all right, but the pacing was off, and it kind of threw me off for the first part of the show. But I would recommend it mainly to people who I know enjoy music and would get a lot more of those extra Easter eggs in it. personally.
Okay. And Jay, your first impressions?
First impressions of the show. I think that it starts off a little bit slow. Honestly, I think that the best part of the first like 3 or 4 episodes is really kind of seeing. I mean, the highlight of the show really is Sentaro and Kaoru's relationship, but especially in like the first couple of episodes, like seeing the way it develops is really the highlight since we don't necessarily have like the musical background and the band assembled quite yet. I think that what I really enjoyed most about it, apart from that, is how it kind of like sets up the town as like the small world building, I guess. The way it sets up the town with like the shop and the fact that there's a church in town and there's a sizable portion of the population are Christians and like as well as like Centauro living close to the shop and stuff like that, and that's kind of how he got into it. I really enjoyed that. I think that while it was a bit slow paced and that might turn some people off, in my opinion, it had just enough time to really like develop the characters and the setting enough before upping the pace a little bit with the personal drama and relationships and stuff.
Okay. And so I'm guessing recommend from you?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. And Pete.
So I'm trying to take this back to a time when I did watch it because this is my rewatch. My story with this was I started watching this on a whim on a work night, and I ended up staying up till like 4 a.m. watching this entire series. I watched it all in one go. I was immediately hooked by what this story was telling. It was a great mixture of drama and romance and music and the 60s in Japan, which is like a rarity to see. So all these just like combined within the first few episodes really hooked me. And just with everything that came together throughout makes it one of my favorite shows of all time. I would absolutely recommend this if you're a fan of a multitude of genres, whether it's jazz, whether it's romance. I mean, this was our Valentine's Day pick, and I do think the romance is handled really well in this show, whether it's through like the drama aspects with like June and Yurika to some other like aspects of the show. So big fan, highly recommended if you're into like a multitude of different genres, drama, romance, music, all that jazz mixed into one. Yeah, highly recommended.
Yeah, okay, so that's so far 3 recommendations, and I would recommend it as well. I very much enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I think it has, like, a sort of a comfy atmosphere to it. There is some, like, tension at times, but it really sort of is, like, in a lot of ways to be like a halcyon throwback to time days when things were easier, like the 1960s.
I wish we could
Which
turn
isn't
back time.
which isn't really true,
I would
but,
feel that way.
I thought it was a good time. I guess we'll definitely get into it later, but I don't necessarily think this was like a good like Valentine's Day pick. I think that the romance here is sort of like a C plot. Really, I guess like the romance might it like affects some actors and stuff, but like it doesn't ever really get resolved or anything. But the relationship between our 2 male leads, I thought was really, really good. Like they have a great friendship, and the way that that's explored, I think, is really interesting. So definitely would recommend. Those 4 recommends from everybody. So let's get into our first discussion point. So Pete had touched on this on his first impressions, but what I want to talk about is like all the different aspects of the show, right? You have like a lot of coming of age stuff, you have your romance, you got the music and stuff that gets played in here. There's a little bit of like sort of like historical sense here. It's not like a historical anime, but it is sort of a period piece in a way. And so I wanted to know, was there like one of these aspects that you gravitated toward more than the other? Did you like them all equally? You know, so that's just sort of the first topic I wanted to bring up.
I think what I'll start off by saying is I think that the historical aspect of it, even it being a period piece, is not really important to the story at all in a way, apart from like setting up that like, jazz is still like contemporary music that is sort of starting to not fade into obscurity, but lose like social capital, I guess you could say. But I think that it sort of says a lot about the show and kind of it gives the show a bit of like a timeless factor to it. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't really feel like it matters when the show would have taken place, just due to how good the storytelling is, how well thought out the characters are. Like you could have told me that the show took place in like the 90s or the 2000s or whatever, and honestly, for the most part, I might have not noticed it because it doesn't really like, apart from, maybe some of the like buildings and stuff, it doesn't really come up too often in general, apart from using the timing as like a way to frame how jazz is in society. Does that make sense? So I
Yeah.
think that like the jazz and the romance aspects of it are much more important to me than like the like really kind of minor historical aspect. And I do need to stress that it's not like a downside at all for me personally. I think that it really speaks to the show in a positive way that it has that timelessness to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think especially like the themes and everything of the show, like of friendship and all of that, are it's very timeless, right? Like it's they're all stories that you could fit one way or the other into modern day. You know, like maybe they have an emo band today or something.
The
Instead of
SoundCloud rappers trying to make it.
yeah, exactly.
They're all K-pop stands in high school now.
The uncle is just the producer.
An old head uncle.
Yeah. He just
Yeah.
keeps sampling the Bee Gees.
I realized this was the 60s when there was an American at a bar who used like a particular racial slur that I was like, oh, that's not contemporary. And then I checked it out and it was the 60s. So I was like, that makes more sense. That's sad. So, you know, that's that. But Pete and or Kat, any thoughts on this?
Yeah. So I caught that it was in the 60s, like near to the end where it actually shows the calendar, but it didn't really click for me until like basically just now. And I think it brings the show a little bit higher for me personally because it makes it puts it more into perspective. It adds more context for me. But for me personally, it was a lot more about I like the historical aspect of it, of how they talked about music and how well, just seeing some Easter eggs of how the music is being presented. But I understand that that's not really the main aspect of the show, which kind of left me wanting more of that aspect. But again, that's not the main point of the show. But
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I do think it is sort of the main point of the show, or at least it parallels it, right? Like, Jazz is freeform and like very like you see Karu, Richie getting, you know, like learning how to sort of let go a little bit in his personal life and like live a little less confined by like his family expectations and stuff, along with learning how to like play jazz. It's how they express their feelings to each other. You know, I used to joke with like my friends that like guys couldn't have a conversation unless we were playing video games together or like throwing a ball back and forth. And I think that like playing instruments together was like their version of that. It's how they expressed their feelings to each other when sometimes it's hard as like, you know, two high school aged guys to do that. You know, so it's not like the focus of it in the way that like the music is the focus of like, I don't know, Bocchi the Rock or whatever, but like I think it's very much in the forefront. And Pete, you were gonna say some stuff.
No, that's a really good point because I think there's like 2 or 3 moments where you have it where Richie and Sentaro are unable to sort of talk it out. And so they go to their instruments and you can tell like Sentaro's playing the drums a little bit harder. Richie's playing the piano a little bit louder, and they express themselves through that. And I think that's like a really cool element with expressing like the music element, along with I think the biggest theme of this show was more like their friendship. Like when it came down to it, like that was the focal point between Richie and Sentaro. Like they're coming of age together and sort of figuring out themselves, because you see this parallel between Richie, he's loaded, however he kind of lacks that family that he is looking for. He has a mother who abandoned him. He has a father who seems to be pretty preoccupied a lot. He does seem like, I think it's his sister, but I don't know if it's ever like confirmed.
It's
like
his cousin.
Okay. Yeah. He has like his cousin, but like that's not really what he's looking for. And then you have the vice versa of Sentaro, who has like love from multiple family members, but he's like super poor. And so like you see Sentaro sort of latch out at Richie in the beginning because he has money, and Richie sort of vice versa with Sentaro because he's a greaser. He has like family issues. He has school problems. And, you know, like when you see the parallel between the two and they come together, they just become like best friends through music. And it was such a great journey of seeing that connection between something that 2 people love. And I especially love it with Richie not being super familiar with jazz. He's more classical, and sort of him opening up to jazz sort of opened up himself as a person, because at school you saw him as maybe bullied a little bit, but more of like an outsider, outcast a little bit, and jazz really opening up his world. And I think that's like a testament to his character himself, and also the music aspect of Kids on the Slope. And it's one reason why I love this series.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's my favorite part, right? Is like their relationship, how they express themselves, and how you see the events they're going through as like we see them go through high school, like affect their music and everything like that. I think that's like very poignant and enjoyable. So I guess the next thing I want to talk about too was just like the cast in general. Like I think it's a pretty good cast. Um, I did find Sentaro to be like the only super likable person, but not necessarily in like a bad way. In like a, it's not like everyone was like, I didn't find everyone like, oh, I hate this character. It was like, this is a good character, but like I'm frequently frustrated with them and the decisions they make and everything like that. So I want to know, like, I don't know if we're all just like Sentaro gang for life, but like if you have someone else who's your favorite character, like hit me with a shout out. And if not, and you just have a character that you do like and you want to talk about them, let me know and we can chat about the cast there.
My favorite character is Yurika. Absolutely adored
Okay.
her. I think her struggles, because she's sort of in Rishi's camp too, where she is very wealthy. In a city that seems pretty divided, it seems like you're either really rich or really poor in this city. At least that's kind of like the vibe I got. And Yurika, while it does seem like she has a very supportive mother, her father figure is very daunting and overlooking her. And it seems like her form of like rebellion was falling in love with Junichi. And I thought just her character development throughout the story, we did see like, like the trope of her rebelling and cutting her hair, but also little things like her wanting to look more adult like outside of that and like considering smoking. I thought that was kind of like a neat little nod to like trying to like change her persona for June, because like that is like a thing people do in relationships, like, or trying to be in relationships, is change, even if it's not who you are as a person, but changing for that person to look a certain way. And I think like that dynamic with her really resonated with me. And I did like towards the end where she sort of just like went for it and went for it in a way of like being a responsible teenager, but also rebellious at the same time, because she doesn't like step on the train. June has to grab her, but like she was willing to like go to the lengths for June to make that decision. And Yurika also had my favorite scene in the entire show. It's like a quote, but it's when Sentaro goes in to kiss her. And at first she like denies it, but then she like sort of opens up to the idea of it. But then June interrupts them. And she has a line afterwards where she says, I almost hurt him in the way I almost gave in to loneliness. And that really resonated with me, because instead of just outright denying Sentaro without June in the picture, she was willing to hurt somebody else for her own personal gain, for looking for a companion with Sentaro, but June stopped that. And I thought that was just like a really powerful moment and a very powerful quote from her that just resonated with me, which is like another element of romance that I really like in the show, was sort of the denial of romance. And she just killed it. I loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Eureka as well. I was a little bit surprised by Brother June though, because I honestly thought that he was going to end up being like a lot more of a negative character than he ended up being. Like, I feel like the signs were all there for him to be like, a scumbag who takes advantage of this young girl and then just dips out and never shows up again. And that's honestly kind of what I expected. So, like, I was genuinely surprised whenever he showed up again inside at the basement, and I wasn't really sure where it was going. So kudos to the show for actually subverting my expectations there. I don't really find that that happens a lot in these dramas, and I was very pleasantly surprised by how their story ended up going. And I saw that in the bonus manga they have a story of them and as one of the chapters. So I'm pretty interested in going see that as well, because I enjoyed seeing them in, the epilogue, or at least Eureka in the epilogue, and June alluded to.
You're more generous than me because I that's just sort of how I view him still. Like, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't see a lot of not toxic moments of their relationship. Like that whole scene of them in the apartment
romance, baby.
is like I get it. Like I understand, but you know, like the I'm gonna try to rape you so that you run away from me. It's like that's a move to pull.
Yeah.
That was a crazy move. And then she was like, I won't let this work. And then they got on they moved in together.
Mm-hmm.
They
were playing chicken. I loved it. Maybe a little bit more aggressive than it should have been, but I did like the chicken. He also has the ability to make the ultimate scumbag move. Manga spoilers, because in the anime you see that Yurika is pregnant. In the manga, she's pregnant with twins.
Ooh.
So he could be a bigger scumbag dad if you wanted to, if you want that toxic trait of Jude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, hopefully he figures it out, right? But I don't we don't know what happens with them, right? We never really until the end, I guess.
Yeah,
we see that she stops by and we have no idea how their life has gone though.
I think it's safe to assume that they're married.
I think it's probably awful. I like to think that it's
like their personal relationship.
Yeah, it's just incredibly toxic.
Yeah,
that's what I imagine for them.
You love it. You love the toxicity.
I think the funniest. I died laughing, and you're not supposed to die laughing during this, but the scene where so Sentaru gets rejected basically by Yurika, and that's good, right? And then he's upset about it.
That's good.
And what is good, right? It's good that happened because she's the worst, and he deserves.
She's
better.
A dumb 16-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised you don't think it's. Dude, honestly, I'm really shocked. It feels like a character.
It's because she's really not the toxic one in the relationship, right?
If you need her to be, you need her to be kind of a dick.
Yeah, if Brother June was a chick, I'd be like, best character, love it, but that's not where we are. Yeah, with Sister June, I'd be all over. So then Kaoru is talking to Sentaru and is like, isn't there someone that's always been there for you that maybe you like? Because he's trying to push them together so that he can get over Ritsuko. And then it cuts. It's and Sentaru does not end up falling for Ritsuko in any way, but it sort of makes you think that he is. And then it cuts to Ritsuko and she's like, you know what? I'm going to get over my crush on Sentaru. I'm going to go for my love for Kaoru now. I thought that was the funniest fucking... I died laughing. I was like, this poor guy can't catch a break. It's been 7 minutes in anime time and he's been just cucked twice.
Yeah.
But fortunately for him, it worked out a little bit better than
that. For me personally, I do want to point out one of the supporting characters, Seiji, the dude who tries to start the rock band. Specifically, he's presented in a very kind of he's trying to be the gay dude trope type of thing, where he's gonna be comic relief for in the way that comic relief was in 2008.
What did you call him before the comic relief thing? I didn't understand what you said. I'm sorry.
He was the gay character, the Seiji.
I thought you called him. I thought you called him the gay Trump. I was like, okay,
the
continue.
Gay trope, the gay dude trope.
Trope.
Yeah,
okay.
No, we don't talk about gay Trump. But yeah, Seiji kind of came off a little bit more of a mature way of presenting, not necessarily that trope, but a way of presenting that character, where it's not the gay thing, it's the fact that he's a little bit of a scumbag throughout it. He's trying to pull Sentaru away from Kaoru for the festival, and it's basically, it kind of falls into this thing where I don't necessarily hate the dude because he's trying to go after his dream, but at the same time, he is actively he's actually pushing a pike in between their friendship, and I thought that was an interesting way of making that character and doing that during the conflict, because of like it also just further made Kaoru seem like he just can't catch a break at all.
I put
I
that
don't
on
think he's that-
Kaoru.
Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can say I was just saying like I put that all on like Kaoru. Like I don't think he was trying to do anything bad. I just think
I don't think he was
Kaoru
being
is
sinister.
insecure.
Because also, remember, he did have, like, he felt like a connection to Sentaro even apart from the music thing. Like, Sentaro is the one who gave him that dream of wanting to become a musician. Like, he wanted to make it out, but he wasn't convinced he was good at literally anything. And Sentaro, like, helped him learn that he does have that presence and everything. And he obviously also relates to Sentaro, with both of them being poor kids that come from big families
No,
that they need to support.
that's true.
So
But
he's
there's
trying
also
to get Sentaro out of the hood, basically. You know,
but there's also the quote where, like, while they're at the beach, he says, like, I've just got to get Sentaro to cut loose what's holding him back.
okay, but I don't necessarily think he just means it's not his fault that they can't be friends without the band. It's legitimately not his fault. He's not trying to get them to not. He's not trying to get them to not be friends. And also, he was right. Sentaro would have been a fucking rock star if he kept going with him. Like, or he at least would have been that guy where they say, oh, like, you know how everybody talks about the drummer the Beatles had before Ringo? He would have at least been that guy, Pete May or whatever.
He would have been a trivia question at a bar at the very least.
Yeah.
But we all know that he would have only been they would have only just been a Beatles not necessarily cover band, but a Beatles copy band in Japan.
I mean, that's not true.
I don't
you
think
see,
it's implied. Yeah, you see him on like
Seiji's
a talk
like a
show and
star at the
everything.
end.
Yeah, he gets interviewed.
Yeah, he's like
does
he's a huge deal at the end of the show.
Yeah,
Like,
but
yeah,
it's
he
just
might be
band.
like,
Yeah,
you know,
they're a band.
Beatles inspired thing, but he's still gonna be big.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, oh no, he's not as big as the Beatles. Okay, so
So is
everyone.
everybody else.
Yeah,
I will say for Seiji though, he has a line where Sentaro actually runs away. Even though he's kind of right, Seiji goes up to like Richie's just like, you need to get over it. He's like, dude, my best friend just ran away from home and I don't know where he is. I'm not gonna get over it.
that was funny as
I was like,
hell,
dude,
actually.
like-
just like, you need to get over it.
it had been months though, right?
But like, it's like if my best friend in high school just like dipped for X amount of time and I didn't know where he was, I'd be very concerned for his whereabouts.
You could be concerned, but I think what he was saying is like I don't think Kaoru was like doing anything to move on.
No, you're for sure. He's kind of like lulling around. That's true. But like, it's just how it was said was so ruthless. Just get over it, bro. It's not like it was a breakup.
He's got his eyes on the prize. That's all I gotta say about that.
Like, I don't know. The whole thing was like a little like, because Kaoru like completely shuts down if Sentaro is not involved in something. Like he like only knows how to be a person through Sentaro being his friend. It feels like it a lot of times because like it's not like him and Sentaro are going to do the talent show together, right? Sentaro is just like, oh, I'm going to go make some other friends for like one summer or something, and like we can still hang out. And then Kaoru was like, throwing these clams everywhere. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I thought you loved jazz, and it was like, okay, buddy.
Nobody's ever allowed to leave me because my dad left for
yes,
one time.
Yeah, that. And then, like, you know, the entire, like, when he was on top of Ritsuko, and he was like, "I'm glad he's gone because now I can."
Oh God!
It's like he defines every relationship he has like through Sentaro. Like even like I'm not like they get married right at the end. Like it's gonna like that's a presumption, I guess.
I mean, manga spoilers, yes. And
okay,
they
so like
kid.
they're sleeping together for the first time, and he's like, "Thank God Sentaro's a priest now, so that he can
I was
never."
I was literally just about to say the author knew Sentaro had too much fucking game. So the only way it would feasibly make sense for Ritsuko to let go of Sentaro and fully love Kaoru is if Sentaro literally takes a vow of chastity. Like he literally had to join the one church that doesn't let priests bang.
It's I promise to contain all of my riz from now until the end of time.
I feel like Sentaro would still fuck on the side. Like, I feel like he'd be like a pretty bad. He'd be like the cool priest, but he'd probably still do some shit on the side.
So there was like a moment that never got elaborated on at the beginning where they were talking about their like Catholic faith to Kaoru or whatever, and why Sentaro had the rosary. And then so Ritsuko says something like, "You're chosen to," and then he shuts her up. And as far as I know, that was like never.
I think that the priest saying that he's special is just like a way, like it's like a, imagine there's like a 4-year-old asking why he's allowed to do it or whatever, and you can't just say like, "Oh yeah, no, he's allowed to," because, well, you see, his mom had sex with an American GI, and then his grandma committed seppuku in front of him, and then they also burned all of his mom's possessions.
So we just let him do that?
So we just let him do that. Instead, it's easier to say he's special. He's got a special reason why he's alive.
That's fair. I guess like I took it, I was expecting he becomes like a priest or like at least toys with that idea subplot for like the first half of the show because of that line. And then it never came. And then he did become a priest. So, I mean, I don't know.
He's actually the second coming of Jesus.
He is Jesus.
It wasn't actually an American GI. It was God. It was an immaculate conception.
Yeah, and like that was I don't know. I guess I did like his character. I wish we had gotten like a little more closure for him though. I guess like life doesn't work that way, but it would have been nice to see him work through his issues maybe a little bit, because the last time we see Sentaro in like prime part of the timeline, I guess it's like he's very much not dealing with anything, and then we skip 8 years. And so I don't know.
I can agree with that. It would have been nice to see like some like how he developed past that, because he was definitely going through some pretty, harsh stuff at the time.
Yeah, there's a lot happening at once, right, for him. So with his sister and him being in the accident, his dad coming back, and him and his sister were the only ones that really remembered that their dad used to be abusive, and it seems like their dad did take a new leaf, but it's hard to accept that, I imagine, right?
Honestly, what god did like Sentaro piss off? That's my question, because he can't fucking catch a break.
I mean, was it God's toughest soldiers faces his toughest battles or something like that? Like he's just him. Centaro's just him.
Centaur Job.
Yes.
Yeah.
All that adversity, Cat, and he can still fill those looks out better than you can. What's your excuse, man? And he's a priest.
You fucking dick.
So Pete, when you say you really dig the romance in this, is that mostly Junichi and Yurika, or do you like the Ritsuko?
Yeah, it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
I did like Ritsuko, like I think for how I interpret it, where I think she really likes the idea of Sentaro. I don't think she ever like loved him in like a romantic way. They have like that scene where like when they were kids or whatever, and I feel like that's her innocence showing, where she's so tied to that idea. Once she sort of realizes it's childish and Sentaro's more family than a partner, she gets over it really quick. I think that was kind of like her conflict between Richie coming onto her. And so I did enjoy that aspect a lot. The one thing I didn't like was Richie being really forceful at the end, because that was pretty out of character for him, even with Sentaro leaving. Like we saw him and Sentaro getting in fights and stuff, and him sort of like putting that on to Ritsuko seemed a little out of character. And that one I didn't like, but I did like how they kind of worked it out a little bit at the end. I have a little bit more context reading the manga chapters where he finds out that they are married and have a child together, or at least she's pregnant. So like that's nice. But like the big thing for me in the romance is June and Yurika's relationship. June's sort of coming to the fact that like he does like Yurika. However, he does realize that she is like 16 and he is, I think at the time, probably like 20, 21, 22, somewhere in that range. Like he's a college student. I'm gonna guess he's somewhere in that range. And him sort of realizing like, we could probably fool around, but I don't think that we should take this to the next level, even though I kind of want to in the back of my mind. And sort of that game that they both play with each other, to me, was just great. It was a good mix of drama. It was a good mix of toxicity. It was a good mix of like two people of being like, I mean, they're dumb. Like they're both dumb and make really dumb decisions. But when you're that age, that's what happens. And I do think like at the end, them sort of figuring it out together and sort of realizing what they want on the train, him making the decision of, do I leave with her or without her, was just really heartwarming. And then seeing the end with Yurika being pregnant, I thought it was just like the whole thing coming together. And to me, that's like what makes this show like a really nice romance, because it's a mixture of heartwarming, toxic, drama, all that jazz. It was wonderful.
And
the finger jazz.
Okay, I guess that's fair. I think the drama is good. I personally, not for any personal hangups or anything, hate seeing these toxic relationships pay off at the end. Like, I just don't like that. But that's me.
Toxic people need love too, man. Maybe they can work it out together.
They can't. It never works out. It's the Arrested Development meme, right?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't work out for them, but it might work out for us.
Yeah, it's like, of course, but they delude themselves into thinking that it might work. But it might work for us.
I think they're toxic because they're both denying themselves what they both want. And I think towards the end, they come to the conclusion of, we don't have to put up this wall anymore. We can just we can say what we want. And I think they do that. And that's what I really like.
Look, Junichi gave up the cause. He's a class traitor, and he should be respected.
He never really wanted to be in power. Like, the only reason why he became power was because he was buddies with the dude who was in power. And the dude's like, yo, if I ever get arrested, you got to help me out. And then he does get arrested. Junichi's like, well, shit. All right, I guess I'll run like one event and we'll see what happens. And then it's like, shit, this is the, speaking of memes, this is the boy, this escalated quickly meme, where it's just like, shit, like I'm way over my head in like these protests and demonstrations.
Yeah, he wasn't about that life.
No, that's why he dipped. That's why he's hiding in a basement.
We're flashing back to the scene. Imagine being Sentaro, right? You're like, no. I'm finally gonna kiss this girl I've liked for the last 2 years. Brother June, finally out of the way. I have mixed feelings about that, but we got just out of the basement. Nowhere. Fucking goblin ass, hey, Brother June.
Hey, what are you guys doing up there?
Hey, hey, what you doing?
You guys trying to fuck?
You know what, guys? Sentaro's just like, you know what, guys? I'll just leave. Comes back 3 hours later.
He's like, you know what?
June's like, hey, city boys, smell my fingers. What's going on over there?
Brother Sentaro becomes a priest immediately. Just oh, that's it for me. I have a weird, this is like a joke, but I do want to say it because it's something I thought multiple times. Kids on the Slope is a power fantasy. It's a power fantasy for some fucking kid who was a loser in high school who like played the trumpet and thought it would make them cool or whatever. And because there's like so many scenes, like they're playing the jazz song, it's pretty good at the school festival. Everyone from the tri-state area is running as fast as they can to hear them play this jazz song. And then there's like the nerdy fat kid in the band, and he's like, all the girls are like, oh my god, you play an instrument? Can I marry you? And he's like, hands off, ladies. And then they go to that party that's just like an orgy.
You can tell Miles has never played an instrument because
I did.
Oh, you just got
What
bad
instrument
luck,
did
man.
you play?
I played the
'Cause, you know, Kat
saxophone.
plays the
I played
trumpet.
guitar.
You take that out of your fucking mouth.
Fun fact about me, I picked up a guitar within 15 minutes I had sex. It was crazy. So
Yeah,
maybe it's just bad luck for you, but
I'm not saying it's impossible, right? Like first off, right there,
I can't see.
literally, that's a guitar.
But it's like a saxophone case.
It's not a saxophone case.
It
Prove
does not look
it.
like a saxophone plate.
Doesn't look like a
It does not look like a
saxophone case at
saxophone
all.
case at all.
Thank you.
A big sax, an obo.
No, saxophone cases are larger when they
It's
get
a euphonium.
No, he doesn't know how dimensions
But
work.
the thing is, playing an instrument it was cool, right? But it was also cool if you were cool. You know?
Yes.
It wasn't cool if you were Shingetora Maru.
Not cool.
That's also true. I will say that if you were in band, you were also in one of the highest possible places where you can have sex.
I don't know. I was too busy thinking Jesus didn't want me to have sex in high school to have sex.
Dude, band kids had sex all the time.
All the time.
They were the freaks of high school. Freaks
Absolutely.
in terms of freaky. Not freaks as in like losers.
This one time at band camp.
Yeah. What'd you do to the flute?
Anyways, that's my theory. I'm not saying instruments aren't cool. Being able to play an instrument is cool. Being able to play an instrument doesn't get you 7 girls surrounding your desk if you're that guy.
You know what does though? Doing an anime podcast.
Yes.
Actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all swimming in it.
Yes.
Let me grab my scuba gear real quick. I'm going snorkeling.
Kayla's going to divorce me because you said that. That's how lame that line was.
Yo, shout out to Kayla.
Okay. Do we have any other topics we want to talk about? Any other episodes, things that you liked, or something that we want to have a broader discussion before we wrap up?
I have one thing. That fucking bigot in the club when he's like, stop playing that Negro music.
Oh, is that what they said in the...
Yeah, he said stop play some, if you're gonna play some jazz, at least play the white jazz instead of that colored shit.
Yeah.
Quote that guy. Don't even
that-
take that out of context. I'll fucking kill you.
That is not what I got in the dub.
Absolutely take that out of context.
The dub
the
used a different word.
They did.
But it's the same context essentially. Where it's like
it's harsher though.
It is way harsher.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the sub, I'm like, Jesus Christ. And in the dub, I'm like, what does that word mean?
Oh, you didn't know what that word meant?
No, not really. I mean, because
okay.
I watched the sub first, so I knew the context of what he was saying. But if I watched the dub first, I'd be like, I thought it was like a word to describe like Japanese people. Like that wasn't the case. It was like, no, he was saying it about black people. I was like, Jesus Christ, bro, relax.
I mean,
if he was being racist against Japanese people, no need
Why
to
would
relax,
he be
bro.
here?
It would make more sense because they're in Japan, but then I realized it's about jazz. Yeah.
No, I find it fucking annoying, and I get that I shouldn't, but I find it fucking annoying that they went, oh, we're playing black jazz, and in this one they just let them win. And they start playing white jazz. And I was just like,
they de-escalate the situation. I actually think that's the right play.
Sure.
I thought it was weird. I agree with Kat. At the end of that episode, he does like the call for the next one, and he was like, sorry, I got a little too drunk. And it's like, dude, you just threw a slur out there.
Yeah.
Like it was no one's business. And it's like, he's like, I guess I'll do it next episode too. And I was waiting for that to happen. And apparently that was a bit.
I'll do it.
I was like, damn, is this going to be like a whole thing? And it wasn't. It wasn't a thing at all. He never shows up ever again.
Oh, dear God. If that was a whole thing throughout the rest of the show, I would have given this a fucking 0. Jesus Christ.
I do like how they touched on it at least like once though. That was interesting. That racism shows no boundary. Like it's just wild.
Yeah, the military is racist, it turns out.
It does turn out. Yeah.
That shit pissed me off a little bit. Honestly, I'm glad it was there, but it did piss me off.
Yeah, me too. I bet you
Yeah.
more.
What about you? How did you feel about it?
Yeah,
Did
were
it piss
you
off
were
it
you
pissed all of
upset
us off,
about the
or
racist?
Were you cheering it on?
Pete
Or were you?
smiled.
Yeah, Pete was like,
Pete
I like this.
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't like
you,
racism.
If he was racist, I wouldn't be
you
here.
were like, I don't know what this word means, but I can see myself using it in a couple.
Pete, during
Me?
Black History Month?
Do you? What is this slander? All of a sudden,
What the hell?
I'm the. I'm gonna let my reputation speak for itself.
Don't let that happen.
No.
I'm
Bad
a,
idea.
Don't do that.
Bad idea.
when it comes to contagious diseases, my reputation is poor. When it comes to welcoming all individuals, my resume is unmatched.
I wouldn't say unmatched, but it's alright.
It's unmatched.
You do okay. Anyways, Trent, you can cut all of this.
No, don't.
Nice.
Make it into a short.
Oh goodness.
Make it into a short.
Yeah.
Oh god, we're off the rails.
Yeah, I would love to talk about the ending just because reading the end of the manga and then reading or then watching the end of the anime, I feel like had two very different themes of how they wanted to present the finale of the story. Where the end of the anime is like, like even if you drift apart, even if it's been 8 years, like you're still going to be best friends with your best friend or whatever. Like the bond of friendship isn't going away when it's that strong. And I thought that was like a really great message to send. However, between Richie and Ritsuko, it's like so left wide open where they like look at each other at graduation and they're like, that's it. That's the last interaction that they have until they see each other at the church. But like,
well, the train, she sees him
oh
in
yeah,
the train. She chases after him.
I can't believe I forgot that. Wow. Well, okay.
That's okay.
But I mean, like, I took it as also like they didn't see each other for 8 years. Like, Richie's gone.
Yes.
Like that's the end of that. But then, like, we see it in the manga that they are married with a child, and it kind of makes me wish I saw that somewhere in the anime. It could be brief, it could be quick, but like I do think like that was really left unseen in the anime, and I do wish we got that because I think that was a very pivotal relationship in the story. But like it's tough because I thought the ending was like so well done with the message that they were trying to send that I'm conflicted. Parts of me wish I never read the end of the manga to have this in my brain. But I guess I want to get your guys' thoughts on like knowing the manga ending and seeing how the anime ended. Like, what are your thoughts? Something get left out type of thing.
The ending was something that I do kind of wish that I had a little bit more romance added into it between Ritsuko and Richie. It's something that like at least like having a small like montage in between or having maybe having like an end credit scene where like at the end it's them coming back into a shack kind of reminiscent of the manga where they're all come back together like with all of their instruments or with most of their instruments and a couple of drumsticks for Santaro going back to like the church to jam out a little bit. That would have been cool. Like even something like that. But I also do enjoy the fact that the way that they kind of had a bookend towards the end, especially because they didn't have that much stuff going on with Santaro at the end of the show. Where like it that wrapped it up a lot better. I don't think it would have been easy to just go, okay, he's been gone for 8 years. Oh, I messaged you. I don't think that would have been as concise. So I think it was a good anime only ending.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more. Like I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to see a little bit more of like Sentaro, going through it or whatever, like kind of hashing out his issues. I think that like honestly a couple of like OVAs or something would have hit
Hmm.
really hard for this series in particular because it really does kind of feel like we do rush a bit at like in the very ending, especially whenever like Ritsuko shows up and the only way you know she's going to show up for like a second is like they just show like someone holding a letter for a literal millisecond on the screen and then she shows up. It's like, okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would have liked to see more exposition. Like, I think what we did get was absolutely fantastic, but I would have liked to see more of it. But I guess it's like a very good finale, right? Like that ending scene is very good, so maybe it would feel a bit anticlimactic to like then delve a little bit into how their relationships progress from that moment. I don't know. I think like an OVA ending series or something like someone suggested, I think would be like pretty cool to have happen because I would like to see more because I think there are still loose ends there,
Hmm.
and you can see how they're gonna be tied together more or less, but some you want to see it, right? Like you want to see the little bow at the end. You don't want to just know that they're going to get tied together. So
We need the relife 4 episode OVA type of thing
yes,
where it
yes,
just ties some
yeah.
things together, and I think that would have been real. But that's the thing. I don't know if that would like take away from the message that the episode 12 sent. I don't know. I'm conflicted because I think both endings are great in their own way. So
I don't I don't think it would. I think it would be something where like that episode could go from like ending the way it did and then going into like, a 1 or 2 episode OVA where they show like small bits and pieces of what every character that we've seen in the show has done
yeah.
in that time. I think that would be a really good extra add-on to the show, and I don't think it would take it away. I think it would actually add to it because say it's like a year or two later, and they've maybe jammed like once or twice in those few years, and they're still as best of friends as they've been the entire time. I think that
Mhm.
would add on to it.
Yeah, because especially with the manga, like the last words of the manga, Ritsuko says like she's like holding the baby in her belly, and she's like, "Do you hear the music?" And like I think like something like that would have been like a really great way to end the series as well, because like that's what brought them together. That's what got them to this point. So I do think that they're adding that little scene or something like that would have been really cool. But you know what? I do think that the romance was sort of the B plot to the story and the friendship was the main focus, and ending it on that note, did a really good job at portraying that message. So I can't hate on it. I just sometimes you wonder what if.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, so now that we are done with our discussion, let's go to our final thoughts and ratings. Kat, you will start us off.
Sure. So for me, I really enjoyed the last 7 episodes. The first 5 episodes were a little bit shaky, mainly because of pacing. The one thing I really wanted to know was the passage of time, and specifically a little bit more of a. I'm I sometimes I need a little bit of hand holding with my shows. I'm a little bit brain dead when I'm watching shit. So just a handhold to tell me exactly what time period it is in that on those first 5 episodes. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But just seeing that and having a little bit of a maybe a little bit of a montage, not even montage, maybe not necessarily a narrator, but like, a picture or um, something that shows
An
the passage of
overview of the
time.
house from spring to summer to fall to winter back to
Exactly.
spring.
Exactly. Something that lets me know, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, you're back with the program? Cool. Because that's what I needed because I'm a little bit dumb. And I felt like that would have kept me a little bit more interested in the first 5 episodes. But after that, I was more keyed in on the friendship and everything. And and it really landed strong, especially with the discussion and some realizations that I didn't actually put together earlier before we started. And because of that, I was going to give it a 7, but I'm going to raise it to an 8 because some of the frustration is gone, and it cleared up some stuff that I probably should have keyed in on if I was a little bit smarter. But yeah, I really enjoyed this show.
Okay, and Jay.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed this show quite a bit as well. I think that, we didn't talk really about the music at all, even though it's a pretty large element of
True.
the show. And as someone who quite enjoys jazz, I enjoyed how it was integrated in the show. The animation for the like music and instrument playing was just phenomenal. Sound design was A+, fantastic. Yeah, I really want to like just check out the soundtrack for this show in general. I think if it's available in streaming or vinyl or whatever. I really enjoyed basically all of the main characters, and even most of the side characters were pretty fine. It felt like the side characters were like not really so much a thing, but they really did what they needed to do, so I don't take off any points for them. Overall, I really quite enjoyed this show. Are we doing ratings right now, or is this?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So my overall rating for this show is a 10 out of 10.
10. Okay, and Peter.
Peter, wow. There's a lot to say about this show that I loved. The cast was absolutely incredible in their own way. I thought the drama in the show was light. It was a great mix of like being light, being heavy with some of the themes with like the parental issues. I thought was handled really well. Sort of like some show don't tell, especially with Centauro and his dad, where he is like this tough bruiser dude, but and I think that like he could probably whoop his dad's ass, but he's kind of like scared of him. And like I thought how that was shown in the series was handled really well, like to the point where like he left and like ran away from his brothers and sisters. I really sensed that. And I think that was like a really great moment. Like Jay said, the music was really well done. I have to say one thing though about the music in episode 11. If you're watching the dub,
That was so funny.
when Ritsuko is singing, they do the Japanese version of her singing in English, and it's just so out of place because it doesn't sound like her English VA at all, but she's singing in English.
So funny.
It was just so odd.
She just randomly gets a Japanese accent.
But yeah. And the thing is, like, her Japanese VA is like, I'm not gonna be mean, but like not the best singer in the world. So like I feel like her English VA could also just sing in her normal voice and it would have been perfectly fine. But like that was that I'd like be like, wait, hold up, like what? Hold on, what? That being said, yeah, I love the romance. I love June and Yurika's relationship. Everything about it is so great. I loved it. Even if it's not perfect, it's great. And that's what I love about it. Not everything has to be butterflies and rainbows and sparkling confetti. Sometimes it's just a lot of bullshit and a lot of mess and a lot of whatever. But
the distance between perfect and where they're at,
it doesn't matter. They're perfect for each other and they love each other and they have a kid. Miles could disagree, but that's where I interpret it as, and it was a huge part of the show to sort of just reflect off of the main cast. So huge fan of that. Everything about it, the animation was gorgeous. It was such a well animated series. There's like the scene, even though Miles hates it, where like everybody's running to the barn or whatever that they're in. Like that was animated so cool. I love that. So many things, great things to say about this show. I loved it. It's a 10. It's my number 19 anime of all time. Thoroughly love Kids on the Slope.
I didn't hate that scene. I just thought it was funny. It just seemed a little.
You were being snarky, and so I took it as you hated it.
Man, I would hate everything then. I have.
Yeah, you probably would.
Fair enough. I also enjoyed this show. I thought it was a good time. I did not like Yurika and Brother June's relationship. I feel like they needed to just get very, very far away from each other and never talk to each other ever again. But that's okay. You know what I mean? Not everyone gets a happy ending, and they don't, and that's okay.
But they
I thought
do.
they do not.
They do.
It's a bad ending. Have you read their manga chapter?
No.
Okay.
I just saw that they were pregnant with twins and then she seemed happy. Especially in the
Okay.
anime, she seemed happy too.
She sure did.
She did. She's like, I wonder if he's going to spoil her if it's a girl. Like, she seemed really happy that they're about to birth a child.
Anyways, I really liked the friendship aspect of this. I thought it was good. I loved Sentaro as a character. The other characters I thought were good characters who I didn't really love that much. I thought that they were annoying, but like in a good way, and like a relatable human way. Jay had mentioned that we didn't really talk about the music much. My part on that is because I don't know anything about music theory or anything. I have like little to no understanding of it. I enjoyed the music that happened, but it's hard for me to be like impressed by it or anything because I just don't get it. I don't understand music. So at like a technical level,
I'm going to say, it sounds good.
Yeah,
A+.
Yeah, that's exactly. But I thought it was fun. For me, this is a very strong 8 out of 10. And I liked it very much. Socks, please don't be mad at me. I saw that you said you were going to attack me for giving this a 9, and I technically gave it one lower. But I want you to know this is better than the Bochi 8. And I
That's all that matters, right?
Wow.
So that's my opinion on that. So now I'm going to throw it to myself to find out what we're watching next week for our 2 core.
Well, what was the average score, though?
Oh, the average score of 8, 8, 10, 10 was a 9.
Hey, all right.
Which is going to have the show in like our top like 5 to 7 shows of Watch Club. And I think it's a good fitting show for that. They don't all have to be my favorite shows, so it's a good one. Now I'm throwing it to myself. Okay. Oh, jeez Louise. So I miss Pat,
Rest in peace, Pat.
I know. I can't believe he died
in the streets of Rio.
I know, but it was so crazy because the guy who shot him just said he wanted to watch a man die.
Yeah,
and like
wild.
It's weird because they called him Shirohebi or White Snake.
Yeah. And they just posted it on Knive Leak, took it down, and just sent us the video directly. I can't believe we can watch that shit on demand.
Pat's pinky.
Yeah. Anyways, in third place, we have a tie.
It's 2 core, by the way.
This is our 2 core episode. We have a tie between all of these were really close except for what came in very last, which was Cowboy Bebop. And
oh, what the fuck?
It's a bit, bro.
Steins Gate and Higurashi are tied for 3rd. In a late comeback, we had Kimi ni Todoki at 2. Sorry, buddy. And I stumped for it pretty hard. And in first place, we have March Comes Like a Lion.
Go, baby!
Bro, who wanted to watch this
Let's
shit?
go!
So many. It had 30 points, which is a lot.
Let's go.
So I explained it to Kayla, and what she said to me was boring. So we'll see.
I also thought it was boring, but I want to give it a second shot.
I would love for you to watch this again and then just be like, no, I was right.
No,
it's really bad.
You know, the haters said that I was wrong, and you know what? Shout out to the haters. They were correct.
Okay, that's it. Now we will be nominating shows for the following week, of which we have no theme or anything. The only rule is that your show can't be based off of a mammal of any kind.
They're anamorphic.
Mammals.
I don't know what that means, so it doesn't apply to me.
You don't know what mammals are?
I'm kidding.
Sure.
Okay, Kat, you're up first, buddy.
All right, I'm gonna try and push this show in. Planet With.
Okay. Well, I'll vote for it because it's not Uma Musume.
I'll vote for it because I have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I have to vote for Uma Musume.
Yes, you do.
That's a bummer. Jay, you're up next.
I will nominate a movie called Interstellar 5555, The Story of the Secret Star System. It is a visual companion piece to the album Discovery by Def.
Oh, nice.
Oh, shit. Okay, the blue women in this
Yeah.
awoken something in me when I was a child.
It's the second highest rated thing from 2003 on any list.
So that's why you like Mass Effect
And Avatar.
and
Avatar.
And the
mostly
Smurfs.
massive
And Smurfs.
mostly Papa Smurf.
Ugh.
I think it's important to note that there's like only one woman Smurf, and like that is just logistically a nightmare.
Yeah.
They just split off. They bud. They just reproduce by budding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least is me. I will be nominated.
Nice, I see what you
Okay,
did there.
Pete, go ahead. What would you like to
Yo,
nominate?
Glue is back on the menu, boys. Giddy up, stable. We're back. Uma Musume Pretty Derby Season 1.
I thought this had like a good rating on Mal, but I was mistaken.
It gets better over time.
Well, yeah, as does almost everything.
Did you just allude to the death of your stablemates?
After Season 1, the stable is turning into Glue. Have you ever seen End of Ava? It's like that, but with horses.
No, I haven't. So
It's like that with horses.
Okay, so I thought long and hard about this. I was like, maybe we can just like re-up on the Gundam train, and I could do that one Gundam everyone likes. That's 12 episodes. But then I thought the only way to beat the stable is through an equally terrible show that has some amount of meme power behind it, and it has a legacy point. So we're re-upping Yuri as my job. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be there. I believe. And think about this, Pete. And hey, it came in second last time. So that's the plan. Pete, take it away. That's the end of our episode.
Awesome. Thank you, Miles. If you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Next week, the fan favorite, our most popular segment of all time, Anime Jeopardy returns for our 37th edition. So tune into that. Should be a good time. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for March Comes In Like a Lion. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.